Administrator Pruitt, thank you for hosting us here today. This is an important day, an important opportunity. Our nation's energy security is of paramount importance, and the President, with his signature on that executive order, is going to set in motion government reforms designed to continue promoting clean air and water for the American people. America's leadership, the President's leadership on how we achieve energy independence while improving our environment in this country and abroad is determined more by the actions that this President is taking than at any time. And today, we're taking another step, a great step in breaking the restraints that have become burdens. This executive order is a rejection of the belief that the path forward on energy is through additional federal regulations. Mr. President, you understand the path forward is through American ingenuity and entrepreneurship. As important as the action you're about to take is, it's the reaction from the private sector, from these individuals standing to my left, that will be imperative. Our partnership with the private sector is vital to our ability to deliver on the energy outcomes that Americans want: affordable, reliable, clean, safe, and secure energy. During my early service in the Trump administration, I met with a wide variety of energy stakeholders, and there is this tremendous focus on increased innovation and exploring new opportunities. But I've also seen the downside of poorly designed government policies that have resulted in distorted markets and a weakening of the American energy portfolio. We see coal miners that have been sidelined without thought given to their future. We've seen our power grid reliability tested because our fuel diversity has been diminished in order to benefit one technology over another. And we've seen where the regulatory review process has been gummed up to the point that investors look everywhere else for opportunities. Mr. President, today, you're rejecting that burdensome approach to governing. We are blessed to have the resources in this country, the technology and the know-how to continue achieving greatness in how we develop and use our energy. How we use our resources for our benefit and the world's benefit is the decision and the opportunity before us. The executive order will begin the process to unravel the red tape that's been keeping investment on the sidelines and innovation stymied. Mr. President, I remember clearly your comments to me when we discussed my role at the Energy Department. You said, "I don't want America to just be energy independent. I want America to be energy dominant." And that today is the steps that we are taking to provide greater regulatory certainty and bold action to unlock America's resources. It's now my honor to introduce a great American, my friend, the Secretary of Interior, Secretary Ryan Zinke.
You know, our nation can't run on pixie dust and hope. And the last 8 years showed that. I can tell you the hallmark of a great president is one that takes decisive action. And that's exactly what our president did. Decisive action. Why is energy independence necessary? Well, 3 things. One is the environment. I'm the steward of our nation's majesty. I can tell you as a former commander, it is better to produce energy here under reasonable regulation than watch it get produced overseas with none. And I've seen it in Africa, in the Middle East. Secondly is jobs. Jobs matter. Hardworking Americans deserve to have a future. In my own home state, and thank you, Senator Daines, for being here, of Montana, the great Crow Nation. The chairman, Old Coyote, I think summed it up best. He said, coal jobs are the best jobs. And for some of our communities, coal jobs are the only jobs. And lastly, national security. The world is safer when America is strong. And our strength relies on energy, not just for the great American himself, but for our allies. Our ability to be energy independent and not be held hostage by foreign entities. Our ability to supply our allies with reliable energy. That delivers national security. I'm proud of my president. As a commander-in-chief, I'll follow him anywhere. And this nation should be grateful of decisive action. And with that, let's get to work. I'd like to introduce a great patriot and my friend from the great state of Oklahoma, Mr. Pruitt.
Thank you very much. Well, welcome to the EPA. Perhaps some of you, this is your first visit to the EPA. It's good to see some coal miners here at the EPA. So welcome to you here. And we're gathered in the map room here at the EPA. And maps are intended to help you navigate. Maps are intended to help you work toward a destination, journey toward a destination. And as we gather today with the president, as the president is signing this executive order, he's setting a new journey, a new pathway forward on how we're going to do business in this country with respect to energy and environment. You know, number one, the president, by his signature today, is rejecting the narrative that this country cannot be both pro-energy and pro-environment. We have done that throughout our history. We can actually achieve good jobs, good growth, and pro-energy policies at the same time of protecting our environment, and the president is sending that message by his signature today on this executive order. But number two, he's also setting a pathway forward, a journey to say that we're no longer going to have regulatory assault on any given sector of our economy. That's going to end by the signing of this executive order. We're not going to allow regulations here at the EPA to pick winners and losers. And that's going to be very important as we chart the pathway forward. But the third thing is that we're going to play within the rules. You know, the EPA should pass rules that are within the framework that Congress has established. That sounds pretty novel. But that's exactly what should occur. We shouldn't reimagine our authority to pick winners and losers. We're going to provide regulatory certainty. So the president is setting a new pathway forward that's going to literally make sure that we transform our economy, grow jobs, and also protect our environment. And it's an exciting day, and I appreciate his leadership. I now have the opportunity to introduce a good friend, a patriot, a partner in this process that is making sure that we achieve these objectives, the Vice President of the United States, Michael Pence.
Thank you. Thank you all. Good afternoon. This is a great day for energy independence and a growing American economy. I want to thank our Administrator Scott Pruitt, Secretary Ryan Zinke, and Secretary Rick Perry for your remarks, for your enthusiasm, and for your leadership. Would you give them all another round of applause? We are so grateful. And let me say thank you to all the senators and members of Congress who are with us today. And thanks to all the business leaders and hardworking Americans that are gathered here. And especially, I know on behalf of my boss, we are especially grateful to see all these great coal miners here at the EPA today. Guys, it's great to be with you. They know what most of America knows, but they know it better than most. President Trump digs coal. You know, just last weekend, I was in West Virginia, and I'm grateful to see Senator Shelley Moore Capito here. But she knows about the heartbreaking story in West Virginia in recent years. That state has lost more than a third of their good-paying coal mining jobs in just the last few years. Over 130 mines have been shut down since 2009. As today's actions demonstrate, under President Donald Trump, Those days are over because the war on coal is over. Everyone here knows the truth that affordable, abundant, and reliable energy powers the American economy. And President Trump is committed to an all-of-the-above energy policy to provide the American people and American businesses with the power they need to innovate and thrive. It's a fact. Lower energy costs mean more jobs, more growth, and more opportunity for our country. And today, with a stroke of his pen, President Trump will strike a powerful blow for low-cost energy, for consumers and businesses, and for a brighter future for America. You know, it's the greatest privilege of my life to serve as Vice President to a man who gets up every single day to keep his promise to the American people to make America great again. And today's one more example. So now, it is my high honor and distinct privilege to introduce to you my friend, the President of the United States of America, President Donald Trump.
Thank you. Shelley. Thank you very much. I guess they like what we're about to sign. Huh? I knew they were going to like this one. Well, thank you very much. I very much appreciate it. And thank you to our great Vice President, Mike Pence. I'm thrilled that everybody could be here with us today. I want to give special thanks to Administrator Scott Pruitt, Secretary Ryan Zinke, and Secretary Rick Perry for your remarks. I told Rick, I said, run it the way you ran Texas, because it's going to be a great operation. And he did a great job, and we're honored to have all three. And I'm really honored to have our Vice President, because Mike Pence has been outstanding. Hasn't he been outstanding? Together, this group is going to do a truly great job for our country. We have a very, very impressive group here to celebrate the start of a new era in American energy and production and job creation. The action I'm taking today will eliminate federal overreach, restore economic freedom, and allow our companies and our workers to thrive, compete, and succeed on a level playing field for the first time in a long time, fellas. It's been a long time. I'm not just talking about 8 years. We're talking about a lot longer than 8 years. You people know it maybe better than anybody. Thanks as well to the many distinguished members of Congress who have taken the time to be here. I want to thank all of our industry leaders who are with us and who share our determination to create jobs in America for Americans. And Shelley, thank you very much also. I spotted you in the audience. Thank you. That is what this is all about, bringing back our jobs, bringing back our dreams, and making America wealthy again. I also want to thank the dedicated public servants who are with us this afternoon. You're doing important work to protect our health and public resources, so important. Finally, I want to acknowledge the truly amazing people behind me on this stage, our incredible coal miners. We love our coal miners. Thank you, John. Thank you. Great people. Over the past 2 years, I've spent time with the miners all over America. They told me about the struggles they've endured, I actually, in one case, I went to a group of miners in West Virginia. You remember, Shelley. And I said, how about this? Why don't we get together? We'll go to another place and you'll get another job. You won't mine anymore. Do you like that idea? They said, no, we don't like that idea. We love to mine. That's what we want to do. I said, if that's what you want to do, that's what you're going to do. And I was very impressed. They love the job. That's what their job is. I fully understand that. I grew up in a real estate family, and until this recent little excursion into the world of politics, I could never understand why anybody would not want to be in the world of real estate. Believe me, so I understand it, and we're with you 100%, and that's what you're going to do, okay? The miners told me about the attacks on their jobs and their livelihoods. They told me about the efforts to shut down their mines, their communities, and their very way of life. I made them this promise: we will put our miners back to work. We've already eliminated a devastating anti-coal regulation, but that was just the beginning. Today, I'm taking bold action to follow through on that promise. My administration is putting an end to the war on coal. We're going to have clean coal, really clean coal. With today's executive action, I am taking historic steps to lift the restrictions on American energy, to reverse government intrusion, and to cancel job-killing regulations. And by the way, regulations not only in this industry, but in every industry. We're doing them by the thousands, every industry. And we're going to have safety, we're going to have clean water, we're going to have clean air. But so many are unnecessary, and so many are job-killing. We're getting rid of the bad ones. One after another, we're keeping our promises and putting power back into the hands of the people. First, today's energy independence action calls for an immediate reevaluation of the so-called Clean Power Plan. Perhaps no single regulation threatens our miners, energy workers, and companies more than this crushing attack on American industry. Second, we are lifting the ban on federal leasing for coal production. Third, we are lifting job-killing restrictions on the production of oil, natural gas, clean coal, and shale energy. And finally, we are returning power to the states where that power belongs. States and local communities know what is best for them. They understand it. They get it. They've been doing it for a long time. It was taken away from them and not handled well. And they are the ones that we should now and will now empower to decide. My action today is the latest in a series of steps to create American jobs and to grow American wealth. We're ending the theft of American prosperity and rebuilding our beloved country. We approved the permit to finally build the Keystone XL pipeline and cleared the way to completion of the Dakota Access Pipeline. Thousands and thousands of jobs. We've already created 500,000 new jobs in the first 2 jobs reports of my administration. And if you notice today, Ford, great company, announced massive new spending on 3 big plants in the state of Michigan, a state which I love very much. Do you remember what happened in Michigan? Remember? November 8th. Oh, that was an exciting Michigan evening. And Ford just made that announcement. It's a great announcement. It's a very important announcement. It means jobs, jobs, jobs. We're going to continue to expand energy production, and we will also create more jobs in infrastructure, trucking, and manufacturing. This will allow the EPA to focus on its primary mission of protecting our air and protecting our water. Together, we are going to start a new energy revolution, one that celebrates American production on American soil. We want to make our goods here instead of shipping them in from other countries all over the world. They ship in, take the Americans' money, take the money, go home, take our jobs, take our companies. No longer, folks, no longer. We believe in those really magnificent words, made in the USA. Right, fellas? We will unlock job-producing natural gas, oil, and shale energy. We will produce American coal to power American industry. We will transport American energy through American pipelines made with American steel. Made with American steel. Can you believe somebody would actually say that? This came up a little bit coincidentally when I was signing the pipeline deals. I'm all signing. I've got them done. And I said, folks, where do we get the steel? And they said, I think it's from foreign lands. I said, no good. Who makes it? Who makes those beautiful pipes for the pipeline? Sir, they're made outside of this country. I said, no more, no more. So we added a little clause, didn't take much, that you want to build pipelines in this country, you're going to buy your steel and you're going to have it fabricated here. Makes sense, right? Doesn't it make sense, Bob? Huh? Think so. He knows. Together, we will create millions of good American jobs, also so many energy jobs, and really lead to unbelievable prosperity all throughout our country. And Rick Perry's going to have a lot to do with that. I want to just thank everybody in this room. You're all very special people. In particular, I want to thank the miners. You know, my guys, they'll get enough thanks. These people haven't had enough thanks. They've had a hard time for a long time. They're tough-looking guys, too, I'll tell you what. Not going to mess around with this group, right? All right. Thank you, fellas. I made my promise, and I keep my promise. So I want to thank everybody in the room. God bless you, and God bless America. Thank you very much. Thank you. Come on, fellas. Basically, you know what this says? You know what it says, right? You're going back to work. That's what it says. You're going back to work. Ready? We're ready. Huh? Ready to go. We're ready. Okay. One of the miners. Who's the miner back there? Only a miner. Come on, fellas. You split it up. Cut it in about. Come on. Where's Ryan? Where's Ryan? Okay, Rick, you'll split that up with Ryan. I want to thank everybody very much. This is a great honor today. Very special people, and good to see a lot of progress. And Shelley, thank you very much. You have been fantastic. Really fantastic. Appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
So that was President Trump signing his executive order on energy. It involved a number of different things, but involved starting the process of getting rid of President Obama's Clean Power Plan. It involved getting rid of some other regulations that President Trump thought were getting in the way of the energy industry and hurting job producing and hurting the economy unnecessarily. So he did say, President Trump, that he is committed for us having clean water and clean air and a clean environment, but he wants to do it in a way that doesn't overly interfere with the economy and with the certain industries like the coal industry. And as he said, and Secretary of Energy Perry said this as well, they feel that there have been too many regulations during the Obama administration that were stifling the economy, stifling investment in the energy industry, and unnecessarily. And they think that by getting rid of some of these regulations, they can both help the economy grow and help the energy industry, while at the same time having still a clean environment and clean water, clean air, and all of that. So he didn't take any questions. Very interestingly enough, Micah, my producer, pointed out to me that none of the mainstream media news networks, even Fox, even covered President Trump speaking. CNN, MSNBC, and Fox didn't even cover at all President Trump speaking at the executive order signing, which seems odd because they just spent a bunch of time covering Sean Spicer's press briefing. So if the president himself is speaking, why would you not cover that? I mean, they own the rights to the footage. Is like, it's just like 5 or 10 minutes. Why would you not cover it? I mean, why not cover everybody else speaking as well there? You know, Secretary of Energy Perry and Ryan Zinke and Scott Pruitt and Vice President Pence, but at least cover what the president says. That struck me as quite kind of odd. Anyways, so we're here. This is our post coverage. We would love to hear your feedback on the events of today so far. Sean Spicer press briefing. We have this energy executive order signing. And if you want to give your comment, you can either write to me by direct messaging me on Twitter at Lookner at LOOKNER, or email me at steve.lookner@rsbn.tv. But we'd also like to take a couple calls if anyone wants to call in. The number is there, 202-470-0049. Give us a shout. Let us know what you're thinking about the press briefing or the energy executive order or any of the other goings-on of the last couple days. Want to hear from you if you want to call. I think somebody emailed me before and I haven't read it yet, so let me just check my email and make sure here. Yes, there are a couple of emails I want to get to. This is from, Mike Klonks. And Mike from Alexandria, Indiana. And Mike writes, "Greetings, Steve. I agree with regard to April Ryan's behavior at the last press conference. Sean needs more Skype connections. Please, could someone relay this to him?" So, yes, and you're talking about when April Ryan, I pointed out a little while ago before the President Trump signed the executive order, I pointed out how April Ryan, during the press conference, kept interrupting Sean Spicer. And at one point, Sean Spicer said something like, stop shaking your head at me like that or something, because she kept doing facial gestures and shaking her head. And I thought it was perfectly reasonable for Sean Spicer to say that, and it certainly wasn't like an out of order thing for him to say, given how she kept interrupting him and stuff. And then Maggie Haberman posted this tweet about how offended she was that Sean Spicer lectured a grown woman to stop shaking her head. But you agree with me on that, Mike Klonk, so thanks for the support. Also, regarding the Skype connections, so the briefing was short today because of this executive order signing, so it was a shortened briefing. But there haven't been that many Skype questions at the press briefings, not that many, and you think there should be more, so thanks for the comment. Thanks for writing in, Mike. And there was another email here I wanted to get to. This is from Ken Conway. Ken writes, "Steve, awesome show, very refreshing." Thank you, Ken, appreciate it. Ken continues, "I've watched every Sean Spicer press briefing so far. It is very clear that most, if not all, of these 50 people in that room are not there to gather news for their stories, unless, of course, it is fake news. The only agenda is to attempt to create doubt, create division within the administration, and ultimately to undermine the president himself. They continually try to create doubt in people's minds like a sleazy lawyer would do. They figure if they repeat this narrative enough, people will start to believe it. A perfect example is the so-called Russian collusion hoax. But as proved by the election results, most people are smarter than that. I can count on one hand in which a constructive and inquisitive question was asked. In every other instance, the lamestream media has gained zero information by asking their hostile questions. Not once have they said, "Oh, thanks, Sean, that really clears up the issue." All their questions have done is to further enhance their propaganda and fake news stories. It just seems like a live venue for the liberals to take their jabs and sling out their opinions. I'm wondering if the White House has ever considered not doing these briefings every day. They aren't doing them any favors, that's for sure. By the way, Sean Spicer is great. Thanks again for a great show, Ken. Ken, thank you so much for your comment and for the message. So I'm guessing the White House would not stop doing these briefings just because there would be such an uproar if they did stop. But your view that you have of these briefings is similar to a number of views a number of our viewers have expressed in the last couple of weeks. A number of you have said that you find the questions and the briefings a little too overly antagonistic. And also, I know somebody else wrote in earlier today saying, like, you don't even see any, like, their opinion was the questions are, like, uniformly negative. It's like you don't once in a while hear, like, a positive question or at least a supportive question. And that bothers a number of you. So thank you for writing in and letting us know your thoughts. I'll always like to hear your thoughts here on the briefings. And I do think, on the one hand, it is common with presidential press secretary briefings, no matter who's president, that there's a little bit of back and forth and I don't want to say hostility, but the press is trying to get information from the press secretary, and sometimes the press secretary doesn't want to give it, and so it's not always like warm and fuzzy, and there is this kind of collision between the two. But I also think I understand your points that there does seem to be a lot of negative question asking. And the general vibe strikes me as negative a lot of the time. But as to whether that's more than the usual, a lot of you think it is. So appreciate you writing in and saying that. So again, we are here. This is the post-coverage of the Sean Spicer press briefing and the President Trump signing the executive order, which we both covered live here at Right Side Broadcasting. Oh, I forgot. During President Trump signing of the executive order, we received a couple donations. Thank you so much. So Whiskey Bay donated and Susanna donated. I hope I'm getting that right. Micah, you can correct me if I'm getting it wrong, but I think I got the names right. Really appreciate the donations. And if you just came in and tuned into us late, we do survive based on your donations. We get some ad revenue money from YouTube, but that wouldn't pay all our expenses. We really do depend on your donations to survive, to keep covering the news like we do, to bring you these events, and also to, we bring you all the President Trump rallies. We go to them, we travel to them, we interview the people in line, the everyday Americans who are going to these rallies, and give them a voice. So if you enjoy our coverage of news events and what's going on in the world today and of President Trump, please consider making a donation. Even a little donation really helps us out. Very easy to do so. There's a chat room right next to the broadcast, and if you click on the $sign at the bottom of the chat room, you can make a donation. And it'll also, if you make a donation in that way in the chat room, like it puts your name up in color and stuff like that, and everybody will thank you in the chat room. So you can do that, or if you prefer, you can go to rsbn.tv/donate, rsbn.tv/donate. And if we're on the air when you make your donation, often we will say your name. If I hear about it, I'll say it and thank you because you deserve it. Thanks. Thank you all for watching just generally, and thank you to the moderators for moderating the chat room today. We have a call, or I'm sorry, Micah? Oh, I'm sorry, I missed the first name. Could you say that again, Micah? Candy from New York, welcome. So, Candy, and also if you can, please turn down your computer or your TV so we don't get both the live and the broadcast in the background. But thank you for calling in, Candy. What do you have to say today about what's been going on?
Thank you all for watching this generally, and thank you to the moderators.
I'm hearing the TV in the background or the computer in the background of Candy, but I'm not hearing Candy yet. Candy, hello, are you there? Well, we might have lost Candy. I hope Mike is working on it. If we don't get Candy back, hopefully Candy calls back. But if you'd like to call in, I was just about to say, call in and let us know what your thoughts are. 202-470-0049. Would love to hear from you. I have another message somebody sent in. I have a couple messages people sent in on Twitter. Norway writes, energy independence is the most important issue for this administration. Becoming energy independent is pivotal to fight Islamic terrorism. Building new jobs and securing Oh, sorry. So let me finish Norway's email, Norway's message. Norway says, becoming energy independent is pivotal to fight Islamic terrorism, building new jobs, and securing the future of coming generations. It's time to put the biggest hoax in American history, anthropogenic climate change, to rest and look to the future. Looking forward to this with big anticipation. Thank you, Norway, for your message. Appreciate it. And we will get, there's another message here. We'll get to it after the call. But Candy is supposedly back. Candy from New York. Can you hear me? We'll see if Candy can hear me. Apparently not so far. Well, this can happen with the calls. So,
I'm here.
oh, Candy is there. Candy, how are you doing today?
All right, but take the C off. It's Andy.
Oh, it's Andy. Yeah, yes. That makes more sense. So, Andy from New York, did you have a comment or question you wanted to say today?
Yeah, a couple of things. One is I mean, in New York, my fiance and I, we're retired in a senior's home. We went out and voted. In New York State, that was kind of like pouring sand uphill, but nonetheless, we went out and voted for Donald Trump.
And good for you for voting, by the way. I appreciate, especially even in a state where you thought it might not make a difference. I think it's a good thing to always, for everyone, no matter who they're voting for, to go out and vote. So thank you for voting. But continue, Andy.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, as a matter of fact, we're not happy in New York that unless you can't vote in the primary unless you're part of that party, and we were registered independent,
okay.
So we couldn't vote in the primary.
Okay.
But I am just so happy that you guys finally got your access coverage in the White House, the press briefings, because you guys cover it the best. And I mean, even going back when you guys couldn't even get good pictures, we still followed you. We've been behind you all the way. We are so happy that you got that access, and a good example of it was today, because no one covered the signing except you. If you didn't have the coverage, I couldn't have seen it. So I want to thank you on that, and if you have a comment on how interesting it was to get that access, I'd be interested in hearing.
Well, I'm glad you brought this up, Andy. First of all, thank you for watching, and thank you for saying those nice things about it. We really appreciate it. We do this coverage for you and people like you, so we really appreciate those comments. In terms of access, so there's a couple different things. So we are now able to bring you the video of these events, and we're so happy to do so, especially with a day like today, where the mainstream media didn't cover all of the speeches at President Trump's signing of the executive order, including President Trump's own speech, but they didn't cover Vice President Pence and Secretary of Energy Perry and the other people who spoke. So we love bringing you that stuff. But just to clarify, while we're able to bring you the video, what we still don't have yet is we're not able to personally get into those. Well, we can't personally get in the press briefing. We would love to have a reporter in the press briefing who could ask questions. It's very hard to get in there because, as you've seen on the press briefings, it's a very small room, and it's not like there's lots of extra room in there. So we're trying to get in for that. Margaret Howell, supposedly, our reporter in D.C., will be able to start going to the State Department briefings soon and ask questions, so we're looking forward to that. Just in general, there are other events that we might be able to send people to in person that aren't the press briefing, but maybe certain other events where sometimes it's an issue of manpower. Like there's some events where they might let somebody go in person. Like, for example, I believe there's a Melania Trump event tomorrow, and we're going to bring you the video of that. But in theory, if we had a bigger organization, we might be able to send a person live to broadcast from that. But then we just run into issues of like not having the resources yet to be able to do that because we're a small company and we're a startup and we're trying to grow. So, so in terms of your comment, we're excited that we can bring you the video of these things because we know a lot of you want to see it, and we know oftentimes the media doesn't show it or doesn't show the whole thing. So we are committed to doing that, and we're excited about that. But we hope to at some point be able to get a reporter actually in the Sean Spicer press briefing to be able to ask questions. That would be awesome. So Andy, thanks for your comment. Thank you for watching. Appreciate you calling in. Call in again sometime. Good talking to you. And if you want to call in here on this post show, like Andy did, you can, the number's there, 202-470-0049. Also, feel free to, a bunch of you have sent in comments via email or Twitter. Love reading those on the air. My Twitter is @Lookner, @LOOKNER. And my email is steve.lookner@rsbn.tv. Feel free to follow me on Twitter too, and also consider following Right Side Broadcasting at RSB Network. And Micah J. Messer, our producer, Twitter, at Micah J. Messer. And one other heads up, just if you subscribe to us on YouTube, which I think is a great thing, because then you'll get notified about all our videos. If you really want to get notified about all our videos, you got to both subscribe on YouTube and click the bell icon. There's a little bell, and if you click on the bell, then you get notified every time we post a video, even like a live coverage of something. So feel free to do that. There's another comment here I want to read. This was sent in by Andrea Engel-Othie. And Andrea writes, mainstream media will not cover positive stories for Trump. They don't want to contradict their narrative about him. So look, this is a view a lot of you have sent in too, that you don't feel that mainstream media is covering President Trump fairly. And it's, Andrea, you might have sent this in. I don't know specifically, are you referring to the executive order? Like, is your thought that the mainstream media didn't cover the executive order today and show this because it made Trump look good or something? Or are you making a more general comment? Maybe you're making both comments. So that's something you could be saying. But thank you, Andrea, for writing in. Appreciate your thought on this. We have, let's see here. This is, this is Trumpster Calgal. Trumpster Calgal, thank you for writing in. I like Trumpster Calgal on Twitter. You have your photo, I wonder if I can get it up here. Trumpster Calgal has this picture for her Twitter picture, which I think is kind of neat. It's also kind of funny to me. Well, this is an American flag, but I like the idea of like California is so liberal in a lot of places, so I like the idea of somebody who supports Trump taking the California state shape and putting it up as their picture. But Trumpster Calgal says, I like your style. You are friendly and professional. Good job. Thank you, Trumpster Calgal. That's very nice of you to say. And we do this for you here. So when we hear that you're liking what we're doing, that makes us feel good, because we want to give you an alternative. We're doing this so you can have another place to go besides the mainstream media for coverage. And as we say here at Right Side Broadcasting Network, the network is not just like us and then you're the audience. You're part of the network. The network is like us and you. And so we really enjoy, when we cover the news, having a dialogue with you, hearing your comments. And we like when you write in and give us your comments, and also when you call in. So we're going to be on the air for a few more minutes here, but feel free to call in if you want and say hi and say what you're thinking about what's going on in the world and what's going on with President Trump and the executive order and the Sean Spicer briefing. Any of that stuff is fair game. Let me check real quick my email, which I ignored for a second, and make sure I'm caught up. We got a message from Greg. Greg says, I'll read it as soon as I can open it. Greg says, subject, Trump coverage. Greg's message is, this is from Greg Jackson, by the way. Greg says, I suspect they cover Spicer more if they know there will be more drama in that. They cover, it says is, but I think is a typo, so let me try to put this together. I think the point here is, I suspect they covered Spicer more because they know there will be more drama in that setting, whereas the Trump event didn't have reporters shouting. For some reason, these reporters seem to think by yelling out a question, it puts the person in a bad light. Instead, it makes them, the reporters, look bad. So another vote from Greg against the reporters, the way they're handling themselves in the press conferences. And your message, Greg, thank you for the message, reminded me of something I meant to say. So there's this very funny thing going on I've seen the last couple days, which is I'm seeing various people who work for news networks posting these I don't know if bragging is the right word, but the news is now covering, I just got a word from Micah in my ear that the news networks are now covering the President Trump executive order. Now, I wonder about this. Let me say this, signing. Let me say this. Is there now this is one explanation for why they didn't cover it live this time. It's possible, I guess, because the White House was running the feed on their lives, the White House was running their feed on their website. Did the White House not allow the news networks to use their feed until a certain amount after the signing? That would seem odd, though. I always, to me, I've never seen a case where, if the news networks had their pool camera at the event, they weren't allowed to show it live. That would seem odd to me. So I'm guessing that they just chose to show it later. Maybe I'm wrong about this, but it's a technical question. If I find out more, I'll let you know. But your message, so thank you, Micah, for letting me know that. Your message, Greg, reminded me of something that's been going on the last couple days in the media that I've seen, which is I've seen different people who work for different mainstream media news networks like CNN and MSNBC. So I saw somebody from Morning Joe do this, maybe Joe Scarborough, and maybe Jake Tapper from CNN did this, but somebody from CNN definitely did this, where they post this tweet like, "Our show has more viewers than at any time in the last 10 years. Thank you, viewers." And the implication is like their show is like it's their show that's doing so well. You know, CNN has more viewers than at any time in the last 10 years. Thank you, viewers. And again, the implication is like that CNN itself is doing so well. But what's happening here is like every news show and every news network has way more viewers since President Trump decided to run for office and since he's been in office. That's just the way it is. People want to watch stuff about President Trump, whether they like him or don't like him, and that's what is raising everybody. So what these messages should say is like, "Thank you, President Trump," or like, "All news coverage is up." But they don't present it this way. They go like, "Morning Joe's audience is way up," or "CNN's audience is way up." But the thing is, it's like, but that's not interesting if like all news coverage is way up. Then you're way up just because all news coverage is way up, and your show or your network isn't doing particularly better. It's just that all news coverage is getting more viewers thanks to Trump. So I just find these, I guess, what's the correct word? It's not insincere. It's disingenuous, maybe, these posts on Twitter about this stuff. Go look on Twitter. Maybe you'll see some of these posts about how great this network or show is doing. We're doing so great! But ignoring the fact that everybody's viewers are up. This is from Sightless Seer. Sightless Seer, you wrote something and you said, divesting from foreign oil and investing in innovative energy tech. Oh, I'm sorry, Micah? Oh, okay. So we have a couple minutes here. We're going to wrap it up soon. I want to read Sightless Seer's message, though. Sightless Seer says, divesting from foreign oil and investing in innovative energy technologies and utilizing them for our grid can be considered an economic weapon to oil-rich countries we buy from, some being investors in Wahhabi, a terrorist interpretation of Islam. Changing our energy practices is not only about jobs, but it is an economic weapon in a modern warfare. Not all battles are fought with guns, and we are at war. Thank you, Sightless Seer, for your perspective on the executive order and energy policy. Much appreciated. Okay, I think we have to wrap it up for today. Glad you were able to join us for our coverage of Sean Spicer's press briefing and President Trump's executive order signing. We were happy to bring it to you. Thank you to Micah Messer for producing all day. Much appreciated. Thank you to the moderators for moderating the chat room. Thank you to everybody who donated today. We had Susanna, Joanne Goldsnyder. We had Whiskey Bay donate. If you'd like to donate, the chat room is going to disappear in a second. You can click the $ sign at the bottom of the chat room. But if the chat room disappears or you're watching this on reruns, go to rsbn.tv/donate. Your donations keep us on the air. Tonight, be sure to watch our programs. America First with Nick Fuentes is on at 8 p.m. Eastern, and the Wayne Dupree Show is on at 9 p.m. Eastern. And Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, do not miss Mike Cernovich, The Right Mindset with Mike Cernovich. That's at 10 p.m. Eastern. And if there's any other breaking news, as always, we'll be back on the air to bring it to you. But for now, from all of us here at Right Side Broadcasting, have a great rest of your day. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you soon.